friend of ours, soccer broadcaster for CBS and MLS Season Pass on Apple TV. Inter Miami's next MLS game is on the road Sunday night, soccer against Atlanta United. And coverage begins at 6 p.m. on Apple TV+. I think Inter Miami, they play this Thursday, though. And that is I'm going to read this from what Solana told me. It's going to sound like I know what I'm talking about. But it's the second leg of their second CONCACAF Champions Cup match. And that's in Jamaica.
Correct.
Am I correct?
Yeah, that's correct. And it is the first time that Leo Messi will theoretically, if he does get on the pitch, he'll play in Jamaica. He's never played before. And
I believe Jamaica.
So that's an interesting one. So he was on the bench. He was named to the bench for the game on Sunday that they played at home against Charlotte. But then they went down to 10 men early in the game. So they decided not to play him. And this has kind of been one of the big talking points around Inter Miami right now is he's kind of in a will he, won't he, day-to-day kind of injury place. And it's kind of a difficult place for the club to be at because there is this expectation that everyone wants to go see Messi, whether you're in Houston, whether you're in Miami, or whether you're in Jamaica. You want to see Lionel Messi play in your game, and he's just kind of been dealing with a little bit of a nagging injury that won't go away.
Are they good without him? Because I know they're the talk of the league because of him, but like, can they hold it down? Can they compete if Messi, he's old as hell. Like, he's going to miss games. Can they hold it? I know people are mad not to see him, but are they good without him?
Well, if you go back to last season, they missed him for more than 2 months after he picked up an ankle injury in Copa America, and they won 8 out of 9 games. They were just fine. They set the regular season points record with him only playing in less than half of their games. And that is kind of the cheat code that Miami have a little bit. It's not only do they have Messi, it's they have his 3 Barcelona friends who are all-time great players in Sergio Busquets and Jordi Alba and Luis Suarez. But also, really, the biggest thing that MLS and the rules allow them to do is to go and get some of the best young players in South America. And so they have legs, they have energy, they have youth in that team. And those guys that they signed in the January window are performing really well right now. Tadeo Allende on one side, Velasco Segovia on the other. They're scoring goals, they're creating assists, and they were able to bring them in even though they have all these guys on the team. So, to answer your question, Frater, yes, they can survive. But ultimately, I don't think that we saw it in the playoffs last year. They can't win the biggest games. And from the beginning part of the season, they're playing in this CONCACAF Champions Cup, and they want to win it. I don't think they can win it unless Messi's healthy and playing well. I don't think they can win 4 rounds of the playoffs unless Messi is healthy. And we saw it last year. So I think they can survive, but ultimately they cannot thrive without him.
Witty, how should Inter Miami or the MLS really, how should they balance Messi's availability? Because I get it. Mascherano said the other day, hey, he's dealing with a muscle injury. Like, he wants to play, and maybe they were going to put him in the other day against Charlotte, but they decided not to. The reality is he's hurt, but I also understand it from the fans' perspective. They're paying a lot of money to go watch number 10, the greatest player maybe of all time. So is there a right way for the league to step in or for Inter Miami to handle it? Because I don't think they're doing anything wrong, but I do understand it from Apple TV's perspective. Hey, we want Messi on the field.
Right. And, in theory, the biggest games of the season early in the season aren't on Apple TV. They're on Fox Sports. So, it is kind of this very difficult thing. They're playing in 4 competitions this year. They're playing in MLS, in the CONCACAF Champions Cup, in the Leagues Cup later on this season. And in the summer, they're playing in the Club World Cup, which will be hosted in the United States. And that's like all the big teams from all over the world are coming to the United States. And Miami and Messi and Seattle Sounders are the only 2 MLS representatives in the competition. They'll want to do well in that competition to show to the rest of the world that MLS is improving. So if you're talking about playing all those games and all those competitions, you're talking about 55 games. Plus, Argentina are qualifying for the World Cup right now. They've got 2 big ones against, I believe, Uruguay and Brazil in the next window. So you're looking at a 37-year-old player playing upwards of 60 games over the course of a calendar year, and that's just not going to happen. So I take your question on board in terms of how does the league handle it. It's a really difficult one because also sports teams are notoriously difficult and tight about information. The Miami Dolphins are not going to release more than what they have to on the injury report. And it's difficult for a team to think beyond just the next game and winning when realistically this club and this situation has to take into account business considerations. Because like you say, you want to get people to the television. You want to get people watching the clips on social media. You want to charge more for tickets. And the reason why that's happening is all because of Messi. And so if he's not playing, it's a really difficult thing to handle. I think they're doing the best they can. I think they probably would be better served, honestly, just saying he's out for 2 weeks or he's out for a week or whatever. But if there is a hope that he can come back sooner, you almost don't want to take that away from fans that might come to the game.
You can watch Chris Wittyngham on CBS and MLS Season Pass on Apple TV. Again, Inter Miami's next MLS game is on the road on Sunday Night Soccer against Atlanta United. Coverage begins 6 p.m. on Apple TV Plus. But he probably, injury aside, he probably wants to put on a show in Jamaica Thursday night. When I say put on a show, be out there, because he knows he has supporters throughout the entire globe. And like you said, it would be his only time there. So I don't know. I don't know, like, is that becoming more of a conversation point than his soccer playing and Inter Miami's success? Is the conversation more about whether he'll actually be out there or not?
Yes. Yeah, I think that's unquestionable, just because you go back to even from when they won that first trophy. When he first joined, they won 7 games in a row. They won a trophy. And really since then, he missed some games towards the tail end of that regular season and ultimately Miami didn't make the playoffs. He missed games all throughout last year. There was international duty, and that became a story. Came back towards the end of the year and then didn't really go on a playoff run. So really in MLS regular season play, or really since that Leagues Cup, you're lacking that sort of big defining moments. They've happened here and there, but you kind of want to see him play 5-10 games in a row. And I think,
but it's not waning, is it? The excitement about him being in MLS is not waning.
I don't think so when he plays. I mean, when he plays, it still captures the attention. You go back to the first MLS game of the season that they played against New York City, these incredible viral videos of him getting into it with the opposition assistant coach and nearly getting red carded by the referee after the game because he was so upset with the game, with how the game got refereed. And it became this kind of big story all over the world that he was kind of, the interesting thing to me is how much he cares, how competitive he still is. And it's MLS regular season game 1. And he's ripping the referees and putting his hands on the neck of the assistant coach of the opposition team and like getting really upset with so every time he steps on the pitch, something happens that it captures attention. It's just that story. It is the will he, won't he be on the field. And I think on a Thursday night, so usually this team that they're playing called Cavalier, they usually play in a stadium that holds 3,000 people. They're moving to the National Stadium in Jamaica, which is capacity like 40,000. They're moving to a venue 13 times the size to go and accommodate everyone that wants to go see him. And that does become a story. If all of a sudden those people paid, a portion of their income to go and see him, and it becomes this big festival, and then nothing really comes of it. Yeah, it does become a big story. Never mind the competition that Miami want to go and win.
Witty, where does Messi sit? Like, because you're saying, like, I know he's stupid good. Where does he sit in like the pantheon of all-time guys? Because Solana had some dude that was like a stock boy at Publix on his shirt the other day, and he was like, "Y'all don't know who this guy is? It's Marablova," whatever his name was. It's like, is Messi the number one guy ever?
I mean, you're not doing that about Maradona, are you, Crowder? You're not really taking
I just saw him. He was just in the paper section.
Marablova?
Diego Maradona.
Was that indeed the shirt that you were wearing, Solana? You were wearing a Maradona shirt?
Witty, I almost turned in my 2 weeks after this entire conversation, by the way. I had Maradona on my shirt, and I think Hoch was trolling me. I don't think Crowder knew who it was. And I argued he was more recognizable around the globe than Michael Jordan, and they think I'm on drugs for that statement.
Well, that's wrong. That's incorrect.
I think it's a legitimate conversation. I think Michael Jordan definitely brought the sport of basketball to a lot of places that it wasn't before, but you don't need to bring the sport of soccer to most places around the world. It already is the most successful sport. And Maradona, for what he did in the 86 World Cup, I mean, World Cups used to stop the world. It was one of the few things that was broadcasting live on TV in the UK. It's one of those things where every country watches the World Cup. So it is not out of the realm of possibility that the guy who won the World Cup in 1986 almost single-handedly was more famous at the time,
no pun intended,
than Michael Jordan. Right,
single-handedly.
Exactly. Right, exactly. He punched the ball, but I mean, the second goal he scores in that game is outrageous.
No one pays attention to the second one.
Outrageous.
But what I argued that maybe more recognizable was the guy who played for Miami Fusion with the hair. People.
Yeah, clearly more recognizable because you know his name. Yeah, I mean,
So,
Alcino
wait,
Lorano
now,
is plenty famous.
What
but
call are you on tomorrow, by the
Messi-
way? Whittingham's in town. What game are you calling tomorrow?
I'm calling Atletico Madrid hosting Real Madrid's second leg of the round of 16 in the UEFA Champions League. That match is live on Paramount Plus. That's a big one. Real Madrid are the all-time winningest club in the history of Europe.
When can people watch that tomorrow on Paramount
Plus? It is 4 p.m. Eastern time on Paramount Plus on Wednesday.
Now, I got to ask Whittingham a question. You know, I'm leaving for London on Thursday, and I will be taking in a match, as they like to call it, on Saturday. My AFC Bournemouth team, I think against Brentwood, is the opponent.
Brentford.
Whatever. Who cares? Nobody cares about them. Is true or false? AFC Bournemouth is setting the EPL on fire with their play.
Yes, 100%. You listen to conversation about the Premier League. Everyone talks about them as a breath of fresh air. They play different football to everyone else. There's an intensity. There's a style of play. There's going at your opposition over and over and over again, a relentlessness. They were really unlucky to not get a victory at the weekend against Tottenham. They've only taken 1 point from their last 3 games, but Bournemouth are a team that are as fun to watch as any in the world right now. You're in for a treat going to the Vitality Stadium on Saturday.
Yeah, give me a little something, though, that makes it seem like I'm a big, long-time Bournemouth supporter. Like, what can I say, while I'm walking around Vitality to make it seem, help me fit in a little bit?
Well, I mean, the biggest thing that you can do just to tie into where you come from is you're an American, and there's a very good American player in the middle of the Bournemouth team. Tyler Adams has been sensational. He was, I believe, their record signing when they brought him in ahead of last season, but he's had a really terrible time with injury. And so now he's healthy, and he is beasting in the middle of that midfield. Hard charging, strong in the tackle. So you'd be like, hey, I'm a big Tyler Adams guy. That's one of our own. He's one of our best American players. So
all right, that's what I needed.
That's how you link.
Yeah, I
that's
needed a little something in the arsenal. No pun. But I need a little something there to make it seem like I know what I'm doing. So what'd you say this guy's name was? Steven Adams?
It's Tyler Adams.
All right. Steven Tyler.
T. Adams.
What up, Adams?
Come on, T.
And what should I get there at Vitality Stadium? They have some good concessions. What do I get?
A steak and kidney pie, maybe a meat pie at halftime. The one time that I went, actually, this is great. I went to a game at Southampton, and one rule that you will learn is you're not allowed to be in the stands, meaning sitting in your seat in the stadium with a drink in your hand. You're not allowed to walk from the concourse inside the stadium with a drink. You have to drink everything away from the pitch, and then you can come back out. So one time I was with a couple of friends at a game at Southampton. We're like, what is the highest alcohol by volume thing that you can drink? Because we want to catch a little bit of a buzz at halftime, but you can't take it to the seats. And so me and a couple of buddies of mine ordered some rosé at halftime and just threw it down and then went back to our seat.
Rosé has a high alcohol content?
It was the highest alcohol by volume of anything available at the ground that day.
Now I know why Crowder's always drinking a glass of wine instead of anything else.
Hey, get it right.
Because he's always got like a red Solo cup, but it happens to be filled with wine. Now I know the secret.
Red Solo cup? Do you not have a wine glass?
No, I'm a G, Chris.
I'm not certain what that has to do with being a G.
You said they sell
there's
meat
a class
pies?
in having one. Yeah, meat pies. Yeah, that's like the traditional thing that you eat. There's actually this great Twitter account, Hoch, that maybe you'll have to get into. It's called Footy Scran, and they call the food in stadiums Scran. And so there are pictures that go viral of first off some terrible looking foods, but also there's like one, I think it's in Greece, of like an octopus sandwich you can get at halftime. That's unbelievable. But yeah, if you want to take a look at maybe what you're in for, go to the Twitter account Footy Scran, and maybe you can figure out what you're in for.
SCRAN?
SCRAN, yeah. Footy Scran.
But that'll make me sound like I'm a local as well, right? Hey, anybody want to go grab a little Scran?
Oh my God, you'll be one of them. You'll be one of them.
I can't wait. I may not come back, Crowder. I may not come back.
Hawk, you a big fan of meat pies. You know you're getting a meat pie.
Oh, I'm getting a meat pie for sure. I'm going to throw down 2-3 meat pies. Gonna get what they got there? Fish and chips? Can you get a fish and chips at the?
I don't know, mate. I know where you're sitting for this game, so I don't know if you're getting a meat pie at halftime. I feel like you're getting.
I know. I'm sitting in some luxury box. I'm not even gonna be with the with the peons out there. I'm gonna be gallivanting with. I got a letter the other day. No jeans, no sneakers, jacket preferred. Like where am I?
Let's just start with the fact you got a letter. Let's start with the fact you got a letter. Who before going to a sporting event gets a letter?
That's a valid point. What do you think about Zach Wilson coming to the Dolphins, Witty?
I mean, backup quarterbacks are not. They're insurance policies. They're meant to be sort of there in case something terrible happens. But if he's playing, something terrible will have happened. And maybe over the course of 7 months between now and then, Mike McDaniel will have worked some wonder on him that maybe the Jets' overall calamity couldn't create. But I mean, realistically, if he's playing, then everything has gone terribly wrong.
Well, I mean, that's going to happen. He's going to play. We've watched this movie play out before.
He's going to get some throws in now.
He's going to get some playing time. Chris
But
Wittyngham.
I mean, is there a world where he's Sam Darnold and that it just hasn't happened for him in the right situation? And
I guess because you never would have believed Sam
there?
Darnold was going to be Sam Darnold. You never were going to believe Baker Mayfield became Baker Mayfield. So I guess theoretically,
he's still like really young, isn't he? Like he was one of the youngest quarterbacks that came out in that. He's still 25. Like it's not out of the realm of possibility that at 25 you make a considerable improvement. You remove yourself from that Jet situation where it's so clearly gone wrong. I mean, I don't think it's dreadful, but who is the backup quarterback out there where you go, oh man, this is going to be great. We have X as our backup. Every backup quarterback inherently is. But Gardner Minshew, I mean, you remember when he started for the Colts, he had some terrible games. He is well capable of ruining a game with 5 interceptions. So I think Gardner Minshew is one of those guys where because he's got the high ceiling and when he can come in, he can throw for 500 yards. Great, but he can also completely
but any game that has 5 interceptions means they're zinging the ball around, which is all I want to see. I'm okay with that.
That's what that was my thing. I just want a guy that comes in and is so confident in himself, he's going to let it fly. You're a backup. You're going to play 3 games. Go make the best 3 you can do. I like that guy, Chris.
I get it. And Zach Wilson probably is a 70 quarterback rating and 127 yards, and that's just not very fun, is it?
Right. That's his excitement. That's the excitement he brings. Chris Wittyngham, he's a soccer broadcaster for CBS and MLS Season Pass on Apple TV and Inter Miami. They play Thursday in Jamaica. Their next MLS game is Sunday night soccer against Atlanta United. Terrific scran where Atlanta United plays.
Cheap scran as well, although it is unfortunate that one of the scran options is Chick-fil-A will be closed on Sunday. Normally, it's
where
only
do they play
open
at Mercedes-Benz.
Yeah. They play at Mercedes-Benz, and they're the one tenant of the building that actually gets to open the Chick-fil-A because other than Thursday Night Football, when are the Falcons ever going to have Chick-fil-A open because it's on a Sunday?
Interesting. Well, if you're lucky enough to make it out there for a road game, enjoy some of that scram. It is
you'll
really,
do, sir.
People will be talking about it. And again, coverage Sunday night, 6 p.m. on Apple TV Plus, by the way. Scran, food, stadium food, Scran. Of course, we on this show, we would call stadium food stewed, but that's a whole different
that's only when Appel's on.
whole different topic. Thank you, Wittyngham. We appreciate your time. Have a good call tomorrow.
Thanks, guys.